All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Sydney Kitt, and with me today we have Joshua Whitlow.
Yep.
We are here to celebrate the official launching of our crowdfunder for our 2024 anthology. C stands for. So if you've been following us for a little bit, you know that we like to do anthologies every year around the September, October area to celebrate the Crossroads. I should have thought about this before. Cartoon Crossroads Columbus. There we go. CXC. And our last two that we've done have included three separate projects, one regarding Columbus, one regarding cartoons, and one involving a coalition. However, this year we decided to just do the one prompt. And this year, our artists were given the prompt C stands for, and let them decide to go from there. So it'll be very interesting to see the different things that people picked for their C stands for. And tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to interview Joshua, and we're going to show a little bit of sneak peeks here and there. And then right as it hits 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will watch the crowdfunder go live. Sound like a good plan to you, Joshua?
Yeah, they'll do it.
All right. So Joshua is our winner of the Draw This in Your Style logo competition that we held early January. So he created the logo that you should see somewhere in the corner, maybe. I don't know. Where'd it go? There it is. There it is, somewhere. So he created the logo, which is the cover art of our anthology. It was chosen by polls on our Instagram and Facebook pages. And I don't know, Josh, do you want to start with showing off the cover first, or do you want to do questions? I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, let's show it off. Let them see it.
All right. Let's do it. So, our official cover, drum roll please.
All right, there it is.
Ta-da!
Woohoo!
It's gorgeous, and it really does have like the like a throwback to comics.
Oh, good. That's what I was going for.
Well, you did it. It looks beautiful. So,
well, thank you.
That's the official cover. Oh, so good.
All right, there it is.
And nice here's our countdown timer.
We're
counting it down. Okay, where's my mouse? All right, so we'll show that again later if anyone missed it. But for now, I am going to be asking these questions on behalf of John Orlando from the PVD Cast podcast. He is going to be interviewing all of the rest of the artists that are participating in this anthology. But I decided, since it's the launch party, that I wanted to do it myself. So
there you go.
He's gracious enough to let me to do that. So without further ado, how did you get involved with C3?
Oh, that's a good question. So I actually have an acquaintance, Carl Lucas. I knew him from years ago. If I'm remembering correctly, I think him, I, and a buddy were potentially looking at an apartment to like move in together. That fizzled out. So I followed him and his work for a while now on Instagram, and I'm really liking this progress he's been making. But then I noticed he was involved with this, and I didn't know what this C3 was. So I looked into it, and I'm like, oh, cool. I didn't know there was a cartoon coalition in Columbus. So I just kind of kept tabs on you guys, seeing what was going on. And then the Christmas, what was it? The coloring book.
The coloring book. Yeah.
That you guys just did. I saw that you guys were asking for submissions for that. I'm like, oh, okay. I think I could do that. Come up with. I had an idea for one thing, and then I had extra time, and I'm like, okay, I'll just draw something else. So I came up with I did the snowman, and then I did the dog kicking Krampus in the face.
Yeah.
So those were my 2 submissions. That was just for fun, a little Christmas fun. And then yeah, I saw the C3 logo contest, and I was like, that was just kind of on a whim. I'm like, okay, I'll take a stab at it. So I just kind of drew something up at work.
Really?
Yeah, it was just I had my sketchbook with me, and I just kind of did my own. I looked at your guys' normal logo, and I just kind of like, well, how would I kind of modernize it? And then I think you guys had like newspaper. I think wasn't that the theme, like a newspaper kind of news.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, inspired by newspaper or something to that effect. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, for the inside of the text bubble in the background behind the head, I just kind of made some like kind of artist, but also kind of like writing utensils and stuff like that, whiteouts. So it kind of made me feel give that vibe of a newspaper print type thing. I thought it would give it a little something. And then I did my little C3 at the bottom there. That is a comic bubble in and of itself. And yeah, I submitted it, and there were a couple others in there, and some really good ones. And I was like, well, I hope I win, and I did. And I was like, ooh, okay, cool. That's awesome. And
so you didn't think you were gonna win?
I was really hoping, but the one I voted for that kind of looked like a graffiti style, I was like, that's probably gonna win. I was like, ooh, that one's probably going to win. That one was really good. I cannot remember the artist's name off the top of my head, and I follow them on Instagram. But
his name is Robbie Melendez.
Okay, there it is.
Also, yeah, he's also a featured artist in the anthology.
Oh, nice. Well, there you go. A little extra. But yeah, I thought that was really awesome. But I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll take it. I'll take what I can get. It's a good win. But yeah, so I did that, and then I saw you guys were doing another one of these anthologies I didn't get to take part of the last one, so I'm like, I guess I'll do something. I looked at it, but I didn't look too hard. I didn't see really what the theme was, and so you guys had approached me to do the cover, but it was like, well, maybe can I do a page?
Yeah.
And so I was already drawing something and working on it. And I'm like, I could just submit this. I can make it work. It's just somehow. And then remains to be seen as the title on the bottom, but I think we did cryptid. C is for cryptid along the side. So it ties into that because I'm all over the place in my artistic inspiration. And right now I'm kind of in EC comics from like the 1950s. I've been buying a lot of their reprints from the 90s, and I've been looking at the greats like Wally Wood and Jack Davis, all those guys, and I'm just practicing like their kind of style, how they draw, how they ink. So, but that's currently where I'm at. So I'm like, oh, I'll just submit this, and hopefully it flies.
Oh, it worked. But yeah, you kind of touched on a lot of the questions already, which was tell us about your contribution to the C stands for, which, not only are you the cover artist, but you do have a page. And so you decided to throw in the page just because you were working on it already, right?
Yeah, I was already working on it.
Sneak peek? Is this a sneak peek?
Yeah, it is. Well, you're actually seeing the original artwork.
That's cool.
So yeah, it started as where is it? I'm back at this. Yeah, that little sketch right there in the bottom corner. That's where it started, and then I blew it up to made a bigger sketch, and then went over here to the inking. There it is. So yeah, that's a little behind the scenes for you.
That's cool.
But if you want to see how it turned out and all the little gizmos I added to make it technically a cover page for a potential comic, you'll have to pick up a copy.
Oh, well, you touched in the next question. It's like you were reading John's mind. So why should someone pick up a copy of C stands for?
You should. Just do it. You'll love it. Well, in in the times we live in, we have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have all these ways to like be able to look at art, but it's like it's so easy to miss good art at the same time. Algorithms do not let us see the full potential of what artists are doing. And I think it's not only important to just get outside of like your comfort zone just to see what's going on in the world, but also to do the same thing with art and artists. And there's a comic book shop I've been going to for a little while now, Laughing Ogre. I don't know if you've ever been to it.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Love Ogre.
Yeah, I do too. And I've actually seen some local comics in the back. I might have even picked up one or two.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's like I would have never seen those. I would have never seen this art. I mean, and it's just these really unique finds. So it's picking up something like this is really cool because it's just all these different artists, all this different work that you're not going to see anywhere else, really. So, I mean, it's a really good idea to pick it up, and you never know when you might inspire somebody to pick up that pencil or pen. It's like, come on, I keep hearing people say I can't draw, and it's like, you're wrong. You can.
Yeah.
You just got to try.
Yeah, no, it's amazing to see the different levels of art that we have, even in just this group. You know, and I personally think that's the benefit to an anthology too, is that you see the wide variety. So like your page, way more detailed than mine. But mine is way more colorful, you know? And I have more of a fun, cutesy style. So it's really, really cool to see the different levels of creativity. And especially when they're local artists, you know that you're just going to make someone's day by supporting them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, speaking of, we're a group of Central Ohio artists. So why is Ohio a great place for independent creators?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say Columbus in particular, but Ohio in general, it's just, there's, like we've even touched on it right now, there's just so many good artists out there, and there's just so much potential to get exposure or to get work. I've gotten work. Some people have seen my stuff and they're like, hey, would you be willing to draw me up a logo? Or hey, would you be willing to draw me up a character for a sticker or a t-shirt? And, you know, artists getting those type of work, I mean, it's kind of difficult, you know, in this market. But when you can do it, it's really nice. I mean, it's always fun to get out there and see your work. It's like, oh, hey, I made that, or hey, I made that deer head. So, yeah, but we're in a good time for that too, and we're in a good place. Ohio is a good place for that. And Columbus is growing, for better and for worse, but it is growing. And you know, I think there's a lot of room for growth as an artist. So I just, like I said, just keep doing it. Keep pushing yourself. Push yourself as much as you can. Get out to as many of these things as you can. Just get your work out there.
Yeah. And a great place to do that would be CXC, where we're going to publicly launch the anthology. So the Crowdfundr is almost like you're pre-ordering the book.
Yeah.
And it'll go out to the public at CXC, which is Columbus-based. They bring in a lot of comic artists.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We can talk about that later, because I'm sure there's a lot to talk about when it comes to CXC.
Fair enough. We can do that.
All right. So when did you know that you wanted to be an artist?
Ooh, the origin story. You know, my story it's not the most original. It's basically like everyone else who is still an artist at my age. It's like I drew when I was very young, and I just kept going with it. I mean, I will admit I kind of stopped here and there throughout my life, but I would say probably the moment I was solidified is when I decided I wanted to pursue graphic design as a career choice, because I saw the potential with graphic design to be able to not only create, you know, your standard logos and branding, but you can also create really awesome graphics. And from an artist standpoint, I mean, making really cool graphics. That's my favorite thing. I just like making cool graphics, really edgy, cartoony graphics. Just fun to do, something that's uniquely mine. And I just, yeah. So when I mean, I was always doing art before that, but I'd say right around the time where it's like, okay, 18 years old, I got to pick a path. So, okay, graphic design's a good path. It's a career, but it's also, you get the fun of being an artist. And you can always still do the not so graphic designy stuff on the side and still use graphic design as your main source of income. So I think that was the kind of, okay, I'll do that. And then, yeah, I just draw a lot. Just doodle.
Nonstop.
Pretty much. Or I try as much as I can. I've tried experimenting with different ways to go about it. Something I did recently within the past year-ish is I got like 3 different size of Post-it notes, like a 4x4, a 3x3, and like a really small one. And then I just kind of doodle on all 3. Yep, there it is. Yeah. So, well, it's really, and then I just you just do quick doodles on them. And what I like about it is they're small, so you don't have a lot of room to get too intricate, so you can keep it relatively fast. But doing it on 3 different sizes also allows you to kind of, like, you got to constrain yourself, especially when you get to that small one. It's like, okay, if I'm going to draw an eyeball, I got to make sure it can only be this big, and the little trails can only go this far. So it kind of challenges you. And then once you kind of play around with that, once you get into a much bigger piece of paper, it does feel a lot more liberating. It's like, oh, this is nice.
Huh.
All this room, but it's good for practice.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask, because you said that you were doing a lot of art and doodling and all of that. So were you always the kid with the fancy PowerPoint presentations in school, or were yours blank white?
No, no fancy PowerPoints were ever in my no. If they were PowerPoints, they were basic.
Yeah.
I saved all my artistic expression for other things than PowerPoints. I say that out loud. I kind of feel bad for PowerPoint now, but it is what it is.
That's all right. We do have a quick question from the audience. Chandu is asking, is it the same doodle on all 3 sizes, or are you doing different ones?
I've been doing different ones, but I'm glad he brought that up because I should. That right there actually would be what you should really be doing if you're doing that exercise, because then you're able to, like, you start at the smallest first and then you work your way up, and as you get bigger and bigger, you can add more detail. It kind of helps you out. It also, practicing making shapes at different, like circles at different sizes, or like rectangles at different sizes, like the more you keep doing it, the easier it is to just, like, oh, okay, I'll whip this out. Especially, I mean, it's amazing how fast you can get over a short period of time, and then before you know it, you could possibly even do something as big as 18x24, and it's like, oh, I'm not intimidated at all. It's just the same thing, just shapes, just more detail.
Yeah. Well, thanks for answering that.
Thanks for the question. It was a good one.
So the next question is, can you tell us a little bit about your training in art?
Okay. Let's see. Art classes, K through high school. Various drawing classes. Just basic stuff in school. I'm sure I entered art competitions like in middle school that I've already forgotten about. But yeah, when I went to college, though, I can go into more detail because it's a little sooner. Had a lot of drawing classes. That's when I got to do nude models. I got to do the whole drawing nude models in class. I did that a couple times, so that was interesting. Doing your still lifes, drawing your fresh fruit or vegetables, drawing your flowers, and then there were mixed media within that. It's like, okay, you're going to do pencil, now you're going to do charcoal, now you're going to do acrylic, oil paints, just various mediums, which were all fine. They were all great. I was better at some more so than others. But uh, you know, I got my bachelor's degree in graphic design, so I did a lot of stuff on the computer. You know, Adobe Illustrator is where I like to live because I like to create vector characters. But and I use Photoshop and InDesign for my day job. But Photoshop I have been using a little bit more of for some of these later works, just because I want to experiment a little bit more with different ways of coloring that you just can't do in Illustrator, that you can use brush tools in Photoshop. And also, some of this work I'm creating is so detailed that if you take it in the way I do it, I'm a little different because, you know, most people who are like, I'm doing both analog and digital, and I kind of just marry the two. But a lot of people are just like on their iPads drawing, which is awesome. But for me, it's like if I draw this thing and I want to take it into Illustrator, I usually image trace it. Then I have to fix the image trace because if you know anything about image trace in Illustrator, is it doesn't always like what you've done, and it just kind of like, oh, this was supposed to be a circle. Now it's going to look like a football, or it's going to like paths are going to be weird, or it's just so I spend way too much time in there going in and fixing all the things. And like, I probably, if I would just get an iPad and just get the stylus, I could probably just draw it faster in there than fixing the image trace. However, if I take it into Photoshop and I just do it over there, it's already kind of pixelated. But by the time you zoom out, you'll never notice. So it's like, yeah, this is a lot easier. It just skips that entire step. And then I can spend more time focusing on colorings, stuff like that. So, but yeah, so it's kind of interesting, especially in this day and age. That I mean, I'm on Instagram a lot, just watching people do all their art, which is one of my favorite things. Seeing people, whether it's at the drawing table or on their computer. But yeah, it's interesting seeing people's different approaches to it. But yeah, spending so much time in like Illustrator and Photoshop, it gets a little daunting. But yeah, so the original question, background, art classes, just basically throughout my life through school, just kind of doing, and then whatever I've done on my spare time, which is, you know, mostly just in notepads or on paper, usually with pencils, Sharpies, ink pens, stuff like acrylic paint markers. Those are fun. I'd recommend using those.
Now I have a follow-up question to that, because so you went for a graphic design degree, however, you know, you were taking life drawing, other classes that aren't necessarily involved with the computer aspect of graphic design, which is similar to what I did. I did animation, but I also had those classes. And I was just wondering, because I definitely had a class that I took that I was like, why am I taking this? But ended up loving it. That was oil painting for me. I'd never used oils before, and I loved it. It was fantastic. So I was just wondering, like, did you have a class that you were like, why am I taking this? And then once you did it, you're like, that was amazing.
Yes, yes, I did. I don't think it's possible to go to a 4-year school and not take one of those classes. And those art classes that you just mentioned were the same for me. It's I took an oil painting class also that was a prereq for my degree, and I did like it. I just wasn't as good at it as other people were, and it just wasn't my medium, which is fine. I love it. I love watching other people paint in oil, but it's Bob Ross. But it's just not my forte. But I did enjoy the class. I enjoyed taking it. I enjoyed just doing art. I did actually have, this is interesting enough. It's not related to art at all. I had a philosophy class that I really liked.
Was it art of philosophy?
I'm not even sure what it was.
Or the philosophy of art? Or was it like completely different, just philosophy?
I think it was just like philosophy, basic philosophy, because but I remember learning more about Socrates, stuff like that, Aristotle, some of their work, and it's kind of funny because unfortunately, when I think of Socrates, I think of oh, it's that guy from Bill and Ted. So it's always nice learning more about the actual historical figure and not this random movie interpretation of him. But it was interesting, yeah, because I think if I'm remembering correctly, we had to write a paper about having a famous philosopher, and I think it was Aristotle is who I used, had to talk to someone else, and I think I chose Sigmund Freud. So I had to come up with a paper of a fictional conversation between the two, but illustrating both of their viewpoints. So it's like, oh, okay. It was actually kind of fun. I mean, I'm not really into philosophy now at age 34, but for college me back in the day, it's like, I didn't have to take this class, or I, in theory, shouldn't have had to take this class, but it was actually pretty fun. And learned about something I never really thought of a whole lot. But I did, and it was fun. And now I'm like, maybe I should go back and try to remember who Aristotle was. Yeah.
Well, switching gears just a little bit. So recently, you seem to be on a kick of drawing the Violator from Spawn, MODOK, Carnage, and many other crazy characters. What about these characters intrigues you?
Well, most of them are existing characters that I'm familiar with, like Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Image Comics for Spawn and the Violator. So I it's kind of funny, but my girlfriend kind of doesn't like that I draw all these creepy characters a lot. And I kind of get it, but at the same time, they're more fun to draw. I have drawn like I've drawn different Pokemon. I've drawn Charmander and Pikachu. I've drawn Baby Groot, and I can do it, and they're fine, but they're just like, they're not my style. It's not. They're just a little too simple for me. I like the more edgier characters. They're just more interesting, like Carnage and Venom. They're two of my favorite characters to draw. They're just because they're all gooey. They got the symbiont, so you can do so much with it. And I mean, Carnage can make like different. It's almost like the T1000 can make different things that, like, oh, I have an axe hand, or I got like really long knife fingers. It's stuff like that. It's really fun. It's just the realm I gravitate to. For whatever reason, I gravitate towards it, and it's fun. And I mean, cartoon characters, like, I find them more interesting. We can draw them with a little bit more grotesque detail. Yep, there it is.
Let's remove.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, that is Venom. That's a Venom I did. So I was trying to do my version of Venom, and the idea was I was kind of inspired from John Carpenter's The Thing. Oh, well, nope, never mind. There's Spider-Man and the Lizard. I don't like the way the Lizard's head turned out in that. It looks too much like Barney the dinosaur to me. I may have to take another stab at that. I could probably redo the whole layout a lot better anyway. Peter Parker needs more blood if he just got slashed by the Lizard's claws. Yeah, I could redo that better now. So I'll put it on the bucket list of things I'm redoing. You got your Wolverine. I've drawn him a couple times now. Oh yeah, yep. Got your claws out. Ready for that Deadpool and Wolverine, which actually just came out today. So yeah, my art's weird. In case you haven't noticed, everyone out there, I'm weird. Oh, there's a Batman. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Now you do. Oh, you can do it better. Oh, I love it. Don't you love it when you're at that point where you can just be like, I can do this better, so let's just redo it. Yes. Oh, there you go. There's some of the Post-it notes. And the funny thing is, I have like a giant leather-bound book that I've like thrown all of those in, and I'm still at work. If I have like some downtime, I'll just bust out another one and put it in the book. So I have so many of those. Oh yeah. And then I think I drew the clown from Spawn twice. Spawnuary was this past January. So I did, those were my 2 submissions. Yeah, that was Violator from Spawn. Funny thing is, I'm not really super familiar with the Spawn verse or Spawn in general. I saw the movie like back in the late 90s, and I remembered John Leguizamo as Clown or the Violator. But he was I've seen artwork of Todd McFarlane's in the comic book, and I like this character because he's grotesque. So I thought this was just fun to draw. Oh, there's the C3
I apologize. Could you not hear me at all when I?
No, I could literally not hear you.
That's my bad. I'm new to this.
No. My apologies. I just thought you were showing the thing.
I didn't mean to go through your whole collection on Instagram, but
no,
I think
fun.
it's important, especially for those who are watching.
Yeah.
Like once you get an idea of the art style that you create, it just makes sense that those are the characters that you're gravitating towards. You know, like it makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. It's
visual
aids are always nice.
Yeah, and like you said, it is nice when you develop your skills, and you can be like, oh no, I got that. Yeah, no problem. But yeah, we have another question from Chandu. He says, I want to hear more about the Thing Venom connection.
Oh, yes, thank you. I totally just spaced out. Yeah, so that one right there. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of John Carpenter's The Thing. So my reference, I was looking at a reference image, which was like a side profile of Eddie Brock, and the Venom head symbiote. It kind of does this thing where it like comes over the existing head and becomes the face. And I didn't really like that. So I was like, well, what if instead of that, it was more like it comes from within and literally mutates yourself into Venom? Like, so the eyeball is literally being mutated and coming out to form the Venom eye. And then like the mouth is literally being ripped open to create the Venom mouth, as opposed to having a bigger mouth just coming open and your head's just in this bigger head. I didn't like that. Just literally it terraforms your head into Venom, or your whole body for that matter. So I thought that was just kind of a more grotesque take on it that I wanted to pursue. And ironically, as I said with Spider-Man, I see this now and it's like, oh, I want another stab at it because I can go even darker. But yeah, so that was the Venom and John Carpenter's The Thing connection. I kind of thought, and I just thought that was a really cool kind of like melding of the two.
No, for sure. I do agree. Chandu said "youch," which just can you imagine the pain from it coming from? Oh
yeah, there'd be pain involved. I imagine it would be quite painful. I mean, but correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't it hurt Wolverine every time those claws come out? I mean, even if it's for a second or two, it's literally slicing your skin open every time they have to come out somewhere.
Okay, that's a tangent, another one, because I thought for sure that was what it was, but then I said that to someone, and they're like, no, it doesn't hurt him at all. And I'm like,
I mean, it is literally slicing through skin.
I know, it's gotta hurt.
Yeah.
we can get into that also.
Sure. We'll sideline that one.
Exactly. So, who or what inspires you?
Oh, nice. Well, I've been kind of sprinkling that through the podcast, as you know. Marvel Comics, DC. I don't give them enough shout outs, but I do like DC. But I'm not lying. It's mostly Batman in the DC. That's kind of if I'm in DC for anything, it's because of Batman. And Marvel, I like a lot of their, 25 minutes. We're almost there.
I want you to be the large one. Oh, man. I'm new to this.
Oh, no, it's fine. We got the countdown, everyone, and now you know. But yeah, so the comics in general, EC Comics I recently got into, and just kind of looking into those older 50s comics. And since I'm plugging things, I'll plug another one. I just got my copy from EC. They just relaunched. I just found this out literally a month or two after I got into EC Comics for the first time. It's like, oh, cool. So I guess they're making new ones. So I just got my first issue today. So I'll read that after this. But yeah, so it's just these kind of things I'm just inspire me. But I mean, I also have particular artists I like. Shepard Fairey's one of my favorite street artists. He's kind of iconic for his Obey Andre the Giant face that he did. He also did the Obama Hope poster. Those are probably his two biggest claim to fames. But yeah, so he was one of my inspirations for going into graphic design as well. Like just kind of it's like seeing how like the artist realm can interact with the graphic design realm was like, oh, okay, so it can be done. But yeah, comic books are. I mean, I've been lately comic books. I think that's kind of the style I'm trying to get more into. But cartoons, there's a lot of really cool artists. I don't have time to list them all. Jimbo Phillips, though, he's one of my favorites. His style is really, really awesome and really, really iconic. I'm sure if you don't know who that is, if you Google him and see one of his images, you will know who that is. But yeah, I love his style. It's so cool. It's so surfer boy, but it's so cool and how it's done. But yeah, those are just a couple artists like that. And then comic books, Image Comics. I liked a lot of those guys. You know, Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee. I could name them all, but we don't have all the time. All those guys. I'm not going to pull it out, but I bought the artist edition of Jim Lee's X-Men run. So it's like a big book of all of his covers, all of his panels, well, most of them. And opening that thing up is pure inspiration if you're wanting to learn how to draw comics. I'm sure there are other books on my hit list. You know, when I win the lottery or whatever, and I can afford a couple $100 for these books, I will buy John Romita's or Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man run. I'll get that, but yeah, that was the one I had to have, and it did not disappoint. But yeah, so Jim Lee's style, I'm one of the many people I'm looking at, and I'm like, oh, I love the way you do lines. It's just so perfect. And then all the way you draw Wolverine and Cyclops and Magneto and Beast, Gambit. Oh my. It's just, yeah. So those are kind of my main inspirations for the time being. And yeah, I'm just comic booking to help right now. And graphics. It's like comic books and graphics.
What was your like first comic book or graphic novel that you remember? That was like, ooh.
Well, okay. So this is, we're going to go with the remember thing. Okay, we're going to go with that. Because prior to this, I don't remember. But I remember this perfectly. So rewind the clock back to 2009, and Watchmen is about to come out. About a month or two before, so I'm in Marietta College. A month or two before the movie comes out, I found a comic shop that closed like shortly after I visited it, because of course it would. And I picked up, and I still have my copy of Watchmen. And I like blew through that in like 3 days. And that's the first like graphic novel I read through, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then I saw the movie, and I liked the movie. You know, I know there's a little bit of controversy around the ending and some of the changes, but overall I liked it and felt it was a good adaptation of the graphic novel. But I remember just reading it, and the style that it's drawn in is so cool because it's drawn in like a really iconic style. I would say probably Silver Age, maybe. I'm not a comic book expert, but somewhere along those lines. And it was done so well, but it was like a next level comic book. I mean, I know it was technically 12 comic books that were combined into the graphic novel, but I mean, essentially it was just one big comic book that got rid of all the ads, thankfully. And yeah, I just remember that. There's like moments in time like that where things just line up perfectly, where it's like, I just happened to find this shop. There just happened to be the book to the movie that was just about to come out, and I'm like, maybe I should read this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was awesome. Yeah, and then I saw V for Vendetta way before I even eventually got the graphic novel and read it. And I may get some hate for this, but I actually like the movie better. Yeah, I know Alan Moore's already yelling at me.
We'll disable the chat.
Yeah, yes. Sorry. I get it. I understand some grievances he had, but I like the movie a little better. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. But yeah, that was my first graphic novel I remember, and I'll always remember it. Might have to reread it now that I'm talking about it, but
Well, that's awesome. So I know that you've already kind of touched on this, but I'm just going to reiterate it again. But how does it feel to have your work showcased in the Draw This in Your Style logo challenge? Or I guess now the cover art.
no, it feels really good. I mean, like I said, I honestly didn't think I was going to win. So that was kind of like hearing that. I'm like, oh, cool. Okay. That's awesome. I mean, and then, ever since I won, I see it a lot. So it's like I keep like some, I did it. I go to work, do my life, and then I'm looking on Instagram. It's like, oh, hey, there it is. That's nice to see. So no, it's really cool. That was such a really awesome thing. I did not really expect. I mean, I was happy just to do it. It was just really just kind of like I'm just going to do it for fun and just put it out there, see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But actually winning was okay, cool. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's also validating too, especially when it's like a public poll that's the determining factor.
Yeah.
You know, I made my logo. I could have done better. But the fact that, mine was going up against yours and Robbie's, I was like, okay, well, this isn't fair. But then the fact that I got like one vote, and I was just like, oh, it was, yeah. So I'm sure it was it's just so validating, especially when you can see that people actually like it because you're putting all this time and effort into it and getting the love.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely nice to have that validation. It's we're all humans. We all like to make something and have people be like, "Ooh, yay, I like it." It's nice. It's a nice feeling. But yeah.
You already have some hate in the chat. Not really, but
no.
It was Chandu who voted for my logo. Chandu.
Aww.
It wasn't good.
Well, there you go.
But thank you.
After many months.
Well, I feel fortunate enough. Like I run the C3 social media account, so I got to see a sneak peek of the logo before you officially submitted it. And that kind of goes on with the next question of on your Facebook account, you do an amazing job of planning out your projects and showing the progress of them. Mm-hmm. In your opinion, how important is it for creators to highlight their progress?
I personally think it's very important. Like I've said, I watch a lot of artists on social media for their process. I love seeing different artists drawing, whether it's like a really awesome time-lapse video or whether it's just like they're going live and it's like, hey, I'm just drawing this thing, look, and I'll draw and I'll give you tips or whatever, or join me in the chat and ask me any question. Oh yeah, there it is. But yes, I think it's really awesome to see this process and to just go through every step of the way, how it got from usually a little concept sketch to all the way to a fully finalized logo.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's fun to just see that process out. And I enjoy it. I love when I used to do them a lot more than I do now, but doing time-lapse videos, those were always fun. Because especially when you draw something in the video's like not too long. Yeah.
Whoops, didn't mean to click out. There we go.
But yeah, you're sitting there, and it's just because you're literally just seeing the thing come to life. It's like slowly becoming an ink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but in real life, it actually takes a lot longer. So it's just like, yeah, you don't need to watch that in real time. Here, just watch the highlight video.
Do I want to know how long it took you to ink this?
I can't even tell you because I didn't keep. If I had to guess, oh man, that had to have been a minimum of 3 hours, minimum. But I also it's not like I sat there and did the whole, like this was like, because I even wrote the date on it. Like I started it on the 10th and I didn't finish it till recently because I nibbled at it every day. Like I took it home that day, but most days I just left it on work and just did it on my lunch break. So yeah, I whenever I can, it's like I'll just, it's lunchtime, go over, I have an hour lunch break. I'll spend 10-15 minutes of it eating and the rest just drawing. But hey,
that's the way to go.
Yeah, that's when you got to figure out, you got to have the time for it. Just, I'll do it here. Or I mean, I have a drawing table. I need to draw more. My whole studio's in a weird needing to get finalized zone. My girlfriend's trying to help me out. And then once I get it stable, it's like, cool, I have my desk again. I'll get my iPad or my tripod up and I'll do more time lapses, show off that kind of process because it's fun. It's fun to show that off.
So what I'm hearing is people need to follow you on the internet and see those.
Want to, yeah.
Time lapses.
It's not required. It's like, hey, if you want to come follow me or just check out what I'm doing, feel free. I mean, I would love to find a way to have it be a little bit more of a social experience for people.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't know how. Where it's like, I don't know if anyone wanted to come in and be like, oh, that's cool. Like, how did you do this? Or I have had people every once in a while, they'll be like, hey, what is that ink brush you're using? It's like, oh, it's a Pentel. Stuff like that. It's like a Pentel. It's a really cool one. It's the backing is refillable.
Yeah.
Nice little brush. Or
no secrets.
No. I mean, there might be some things, but they're more on the computer end. But I mean, it's my style. It's like I show people the tools, but it's like, okay, here are the tools. This is my style. You do your thing. You figure out your style. What do you want to do? And look at some artists. If you want to look at me, go for it. But find some artists you like and be like, okay, I want to draw like him or her. It's like, how do they do it? And then I always say, it's like, look at someone's work, but always try to make it your own. Like, never just draw someone else's thing. Yeah. Look at it and be like, okay, how can I do this, but make it uniquely mine? And then you just kind of play around with it.
Well, if people want to do that for you, where can they find you? Do you have a website? We've talked about your Facebook. I've showed off your Instagram. So where can they find you?
I had a website, but I took it down. I have Instagram at the moment, Facebook. I'm on Facebook, and I have Kara. I'm still on there. Yeah. I'm still trying to see if I can make this thing work. It's kind of like old Instagram, but I feel like more people need to come over to it. It's just, but I do like it because I like scrolling through, and there's a lot of people on Instagram have come over, so I get to see their stuff, and I don't have to scroll and worry about ads for irrelevant crap.
For sure.
Yeah. Sorry, Instagram. What have you done? You used to be cool.
And then final question, do you have any future projects that you'd like to discuss? Any more previews we can get?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Here, let me move my phone. So I used to work in the screen printing industry for apparel. Worked for a couple different companies, and I had printed some of my art on shirts and stuff. And I had done a parody of the Supreme logo, the Columbus. I don't know if you've ever seen that. So I did some shirts in it a while ago, and my girlfriend and I had gone to a couple Columbus Crew games this year, and she wanted to bring back the Columbus, doing the yellow logo on a black tee. And originally we were just going to do that, but then I wanted to do a little bit more than just that. And I was like, well, I want to do a soccer ball on the back that's kind of a monster ball. It's like coming apart and revealing a mouth. So that's what I've been working on as of late.
Ooh, let me full screen you. If I can find my mouse. There we go.
Yeah, so this is what I'm working on right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's coming on. I think the penciling's pretty much done. So what I'll probably do is I'll take a photo of this and print the penciling on another piece of paper so I can preserve this. But I'll do it at a lower opacity so it's not too prominent. And then I'll just do the inking. That's how I've been doing this. So that way I still get to keep the pencil work on. And then I can have a side-by-side for like, here's my original penciling and then here's the inking. But yeah, so this is hopefully going to be the back. And I don't know if I'm going to add any text to it or not. I don't know if it needs it. But yeah, so that's something I've been working on for the past couple of days. And now I just got to focus on doing the inking, which will probably take another couple of days.
We've already got some love for your logo, so I'm sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
It shows up
yes,
on T-shirts. You gotta let us know.
Yes. Well, my girlfriend's just like, come on, let's do it. And I'm like, I'm the one pumping the brakes. It's like, because, well, I mean, I've been proxy to a lot of people doing T-shirts and T-shirt brands. And just like with everything, there's a lot more to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I also, let's just pull the trigger and do it. See what happens. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, at least I get a cool shirt out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, those were all the questions that I had from John. So thank you for that.
No, thank you.
We still have a little bit of time.
Oh, right.
Only 7 minutes. So I figure we go look through the shop if you want to join me with that.
Let's go.
All right.
Actually, let me get a drink of my limeade.
Oh, actually, I have another sneak peek. So we've already seen the logo or the official cover. Give me 1 second. We also have some stories, the titles to announce.
Oh yeah, okay.
My monitor is on the wrong side of my laptop. It's been throwing me off this whole time. Okay, switching back. Aha! I can do technology. So, some of the comic titles that we have is C is for Cheetah's best friend. Wonder who that'll be. Yeah. C is for character creation. Might be interesting for those who are trying to develop their own comics.
Yeah.
I Can, which is about a sentient spray can.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Courage. Lainey gets a cone. It's mine. My dog.
Oh.
What does the C in C3 stand for? I don't know. C is for crops, which may or may not have been done by Kelsey, who's in the chat.
Oh, hello.
C is for cockatiel, which may or may not have been done by Chandu in the chat. C is for creatures. Joshua, do you know how to say that? Is it Raraku?
I guess. It looks like it. Raraku. I don't know if you have to say it like that because it's a creature.
That's how I'm going to say it for now. Raraku. Well, they trash talk other monsters. I'm so sorry. Robert's going to be mad at me because I mispronounced that. That's my bad. I should have asked you first, Robert. But yeah, let's now take a look at the Crowdfundr over here. So we have a couple of things that will be available. So we have our little slide through where you can meet all of the artists. We'll also be posting updates throughout. So you'll have to just keep coming back to look at that. So I have a tab here called Artist Interviews. So anytime that we have one of these interviews, like the one you're watching now, you can always find the link to watch them again. And after each interview, we'll also be posting kind of like a recap the next day. So we'll be putting those recaps here. So it's always something new going on. And then, so the perks that we have. So we have the physical copy, which we'll be ordering in September. And like I said earlier, it's an early release, so you'll get it before we'll get it before CXC happens. There's also the opportunity to purchase the PDF of the anthology. So if you still want to support the anthology, support the club, but you don't want to, waste the space on your bookshelf, which I totally get, you can also get the PDF of it. And we also have copies of all three of them. So we have, I think, can I zoom in on this picture? So this is our first one that we did. Like I said earlier, it had the three projects. So the first one was the prompt, A Typical Day in Columbus. Cartoon had the prompt of what got you into comics. And then Coalition was a story that it's a single story that was written, and each page is drawn by a new artist. So it's so cool. So it's the same story, but each page is like a different design and style, which it still blows my mind to this day. It's beautiful. We did this similar thing with our second anthology, last year's anthology. This logo was not drawn by me. I wish it was. Same with Joshua's. This logo was also a Draw This in Your Style winner. This is Danielle Dean's logo. We did Columbus, which was interview a Columbus creative. So people interviewed Columbus creatives and drew a comic based off of that. Cartoon was drawing a typical day for yourself, but in the artistic style of a cartoon artist. So, like, for example, I did a slice of life of me babysitting my cousins who are 13 and 20 years younger than me, in the style of Brian Lee O'Malley. And there are others too. And then Coalition, we did a very similar prompt where Jack Wallace of the Columbus Scribbler wrote a story about these two friends who get transported through the different comic genres when being interested in the comic world. So, yeah, they're fun. Is that an alarm I'm getting?
Aha.
Does that mean it's really 8 o'clock already?
I believe so.
All right, let's see. Oh no. Oh, that was way more annoying than I wanted it to be. Okay. Woohoo! We are officially live. So, what this means is that we are now accepting orders for all of our products. I already talked about the top, but I'll also just real quickly talk about, we have stickers. So that cool logo that Joshua was talking about, the speech balloon, all of these will be stickers. Additionally, for $5 or however much you want to donate, we'll have the artist, as many as we can, try and sign your copy of the 2024 anthology. So the last thing that I'll say about the anthology before we say goodbye is that supporting this crowdfunder directly supports all of the artists. So we are trying to raise enough money so that we can raise the page rate. So the more money that we raise, the more money that the artists get. And there's no cap on it. So if we end up raising like $5,000 or something, we're going to give those straight to the artists. Any extra money that we keep, that the club keeps, goes towards table fees. So what we like to do is, for example, with CXC, we like to pay for the table fees and then make it lower so that artists who might not have enough product to sell, or it's their first time tabling, stuff like that, they can still participate and it not be as overwhelming. So, and any other programming that we do, those fees are covered so that the artists don't have to pay anything. We're all for supporting artists in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, very exciting. Switch back to the both of us.
Yeah.
Well, I've played with my hair so much, I was jump scared myself. So, how do we feel? Feel excited?
Yeah, feel pretty good. Pretty good feeling right now. Digging it.
I'll bring this back up before we say goodbye, but Kelsey really wants to know your favorite artist.
Oh, okay. Well, like I mentioned, I mentioned like Shepard Fairey, Jimbo Phillips, comic book artists, Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, really big Jim Lee fan, especially his X-Men run in the 90s. Well, I think 80s and the 90s. And then he's been doing a lot of really cool work at DC too. Those are just some of my favorite artists. I have quite a few. I have to pull out a list of all of them. But yeah, those are some of my favorites. Definitely check them out. Check out their work. They're still active. But yeah.
Well, is there anything? Oh, sorry.
No. I'm just in the zone right now.
Is there anything that you would like to say or bring up or do while we're still here?
Thank you for having me. First of all, it was really nice doing this, and it was really awesome being a part of this announcement, being a part of the anthology, getting to do the logo, getting to do the cover, getting to have a page in it. It's really awesome, and I'm definitely looking forward to this, and then all the other things to come. So definitely, I'll be around more as long as you have me.
Oh, we'd love to have you, but. Yeah, thank you for joining. Thank you for submitting the logo. Thank you for the interview. This is awesome. And yeah, thank you for everyone who's watching and everyone who is considering supporting this crowdfunder. If you want to type it in, it's tinyurl.com/C stands for. You can also just find it on Crowdfundr by searching up the Columbus Cartoon Coalition or C stands for. And yeah, we'll be at the Cartoon Crossroads Columbus. Columbus Crossroads? I mix it up every time. It's one of those things. It's CXC.
There you go. Yeah, let's just say that.
We will be there. C3 will be at CXC. We will have this anthology for the general public, but now is the great time to get it because this will help raise the page rate for artists. All the money that's captured that we get now, directly to the artists. Anything that we get at CXC will go to the club and those programs like I was talking about. But all the money right now goes directly to the artists. I don't want to keep it. I want to give it away. That's the whole point of this anthology, right?
Aww.
Give it to the artists. They deserve it. Cartoon Crossroads Columbus. Okay, Kelsey and Chandu. We get it. One of these days, I'll get it right. Today's not that day. But thank you so much, Kelsey and Chandu, for always being there for me. I appreciate you guys. But all right, I think that's all. Well, let's go spread the word about the Crowdfundr.
Sounds good.
All right. We haven't done this in a while, but we used to do this thing. Yeah. No. Dang it. C3. So you hold up like, yeah, that way. And then you twist to 3. Yeah, there we go. C3.
Now there we go.
All right. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yes. Thanks very much.